Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. One day, some people came to tell the emperor that they had found a huge black object lying on the ground. They said it was not alive, and they thought it might belong to the great Man Mountain. It was my hat, which I thought I had lost at sea. To bring it to me, they made 2 holes in the brim and fastened cords from the hat to the harnesses of 5 horses. It was then dragged along the ground for half a mile. This did not do it much good. Another time, the emperor asked me to stand with my legs apart so that his army could march between them. There were no less than 3,000 foot soldiers and 1,000 horsemen, and they marched with drums beating and flags flying. I asked once more to be set free, and at last the emperor agreed, so long as I would obey his rules. I said that I would, and my chains were taken off. I had always wanted to see the capital city, and now that I was free, the emperor said I could. All the people were told to stay in their houses in case I walked on them. So they crowded to their windows to see me as I stepped over the wall into the square where the emperor's palace stood. It was really magnificent, like a big doll's house. I lay down to look inside, and the empress came to the window, smiling, and gave me a hand to kiss. Soon after I was set free, one of the country's great men came to see me. We had a long talk, and I learned many things. I had thought the island, which is called Lilliput, was a peaceful and happy one, but he told me this was not so.
You may have seen,
he said,
that some of us wear high heels and some wear low heels on our shoes. The emperor will let only people wearing low heels work for him, and those who like high heels feel that this is wrong. Because of this, there are many quarrels amongst the Lilliputians.
Then he told me of a much bigger danger that was about to befall his country.
There is an island close by called Blefuscu, and the people there are going to attack us.
Why? I asked him.
It all began long ago,
he replied.
When our emperor's great-grandfather was a little boy, he cut his finger one morning as he took the top of his egg. Up till then, everyone had cut off the big end of the egg. After that, however, the ruler of those times said that everyone must cut off the small end, and those who would not obey had to leave Lilliput. They went to the island of Blefuscu and called themselves the Big Indians. Now they are coming to make war on Lilliput, and the emperor wants you to help us.
I said I would help the people of Lilliput in any way I could, for they had been very kind to me. I knew that the Big Indians had about 50 warships lying at anchor, and I planned to seize them. I fixed 50 hooks to 50 lengths of cord, then I set off for Blefuscu. There was only about half a mile of sea between the islands, and I could wade most of the way except right in the middle where I had to swim. The enemy took fright when they saw me, and leaped out of their ships and swam to shore. I then fastened a hook to the prow of each ship and tied all the cords together at the end. While I was doing this, the Big Indians shot thousands of their tiny arrows at me. I was afraid one would go in my eye, so I put on my glasses. After I had cut the anchor cables, I took up the knotted end of the cords to which my hooks were tied, and set off back to Lilliput with 50 of the enemy's largest ships. The emperor was so pleased with me that he made me a nardak, which is something like a duke in my own land. Now the emperor wanted me to seize the rest of the enemy's ships so that he could be emperor of the Big Indians as well as Lilliput. He would then be able to make the Big Indians obey his rules and cut off the small ends of their eggs. I would not do this, as I did not think it was right. This made the emperor angry with me. Soon after this, some of the Big Indians came to make peace with the Lilliputians. When they saw me again, they asked me to come to Blefuscu one day so that everyone could see how big I was. I said that I would, which made the Emperor even more angry with me. His chief admiral was displeased with me too, not only because it was I who had defeated the big Indian navy, which he could not do, but also because I had been made a Nardak. There were others amongst the Emperor's great men who did not like me, some of them because I ate so much of their food, and some who thought I was dangerous. They all asked the Emperor to have me put to death as an enemy of Lilliput, because I had refused to do what the Emperor wanted. The Emperor refused to have me put to death because I had helped him. He thought for a long time. Then he said that the best way to punish me would be to put out my eyes. One of the great men was my friend. He came in secret to tell me what the Emperor had said so that I could save myself. When I heard what he had to say, I felt that the time had come for me to leave Lilliput, for I did not like the thought of being blind. I went down to the shore and took one of the Emperor's ships. I put my clothes in it so that they would not get wet, and pulled it after me as I swam across to Blefuscu. The Emperor of Blefuscu was pleased to see me, and so were all his people. They were kind to me, and I liked them. But I did not want to spend the rest of my life there. I wanted to get back home. Then, one day, I saw, out at sea, a full-size boat floating upside down. I asked the Emperor to lend me some ships and men to help me bring it to shore so that I could sail home in it. It took 2,000 of the tiny men to help me to turn the boat right side up once it was ashore. Then I had to get it ready for the long journey home. The thickest linen these people had was much thinner than that of our finest handkerchiefs, so 2 sails were made for me by putting 13 thicknesses together. 500 workmen were needed to make them. I made ropes and cables by twisting together as many as 30 of the thickest and strongest of their ropes. I made oars and masts with the help of the Emperor's ship carpenters. When all was ready, I stored food on board, and also live cows and bulls and sheep, which I wanted to show my family. I would have liked to take some of the little people with me, but the Emperor would not allow me to. Off I set, and 2 days later I saw a big ship whose captain took me on board. He did not believe my story until he saw the live cows and sheep which were in my pocket. When at last I got home, my wife and children were very happy to see me again and hear all my adventures. As for the cows and sheep, I put them to eat grass in a park close by my house at Greenwich in London. Maybe you could see some of them there today if you went to look.